Hey, welcome back, guys. This call that we had with Mark here for this video ended up being an hour long. There've been some previous parts already posted. That'll pop up here for you just to check those out. But here's the next part of this talk that we have of guns and God. So enjoy. So then, okay, next one. You're home alone. There is no one home. You are doing something and an intruder comes in, points a gun to your head, threatening to kill you. You have a gun in your waistband. What do you do?
Yeah, you could take that person's life if it's, a reasonable, objectionable, like your life's in danger. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Now for me, here we go. Are you ready? For me, I know that whenever it is time for me to go be with the Lord, that I'm going to go be with the Lord. And I don't know what the status of the person who's holding that gun to my head is, what his status is with God. And I would like, so that almost to me, it'd be loving your neighbor by, if it's just you two, you're loving that person by being like, hey, I'm not going to take you out so that you have a chance to repent and get right with God, because I know I'm going to heaven already. Again, this is how we're hoping to react or how we're thinking we react. We don't know how we're going to actually react in that situation. I think, but that doesn't mean I would just like kneel there and take it. I would probably try to wrestle the gun away from the person or something like that, but I wouldn't use lethal force, I don't think, because I know where I'm going, but I don't know where they're going. Now, if you interject someone else into that situation and their life's at risk, that's a whole different thing for me. What do you think about that?
Yeah. And that I don't disagree with that. I think that's a fine answer. There's
Thank you.
I mean, there's Christians in the past, historically that have been pacifists.
Mm-hmm.
And that might even be something to think about. I mean, just even going to war, there's Christians who had
Yeah.
said, no, I'd never want to take anyone's life, ever.
Yeah.
Um, and you have conscientious objector, laws that protect people in those in certain circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But John Piper, he has the same view. But I think there's people that go even further than that, where if they're harming, your wife or kids or something, I'm still not going to take that person's life. And
See,
I
for me,
think
I would
that
at
goes
that
too
point.
far for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that goes too
Yeah.
far.
When it comes to me having harm, okay, you go to someone else. No, for that's something I've talked to Emily, my wife, about this too, and I've asked her what she would do. I don't. It almost seems like she would, if she even had a gun there, that she wouldn't pull it out. And I try to get her to elaborate on it a little bit, but um, I don't know. I think she's kind of the pacifist type thing. Like, well, like she knows where she's going type of thing too. So that's kind of interesting. So like what I'm trying to say is I would use lethal force in that situation where she wouldn't, like to protect her when she wouldn't use it for
Yeah.
herself type of thing. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So that, I don't know, that's something to think about, especially if you are going to have guns in your home and you are planning on using them for self-defense, you have to think about, okay, when that's something you have to pray about and think about, read the Bible. When is it appropriate to use lethal force or not? This is my last one. And Mark, maybe you have some scenarios you want to bring up too, but Brianna Taylor, she was in the news a while ago. What had
Okay. Yeah.
happened is these cops did a no-knock search warrant or something like that. They invaded her home. Her boyfriend was with her, had a gun, started shooting at the cops. The reports are saying the cops didn't identify who they were, and Brianna was shot dead in that whole firefight. You have a gun in that situation. You're the boyfriend. What do? You hear someone's breaking in.
Well, yeah, and
No
he didn't know it was the
announcement.
police. He thought it
Yeah.
was. He thought, just someone's at his door. He didn't know it was the police and everything. That gets really, that gets really hard.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's a tragedy there. And as Christians, I think that we just mourn that whole entire situation. And
But right now, what
um,
would you do if you were the boyfriend?
from the boyfriend, and oh, and you hear that knock on the door and stuff.
No, because it's a no knock. They just break
It's
in.
a no knock, yeah, and they just barge in and stuff. Like me personally, I'm not a gun person. I don't carry a gun with me everywhere. There would be a gun around, honestly. But if I had a gun, I I don't know. I mean, it's one thing to say I wouldn't do this or I wouldn't do that, but
Yeah.
until someone's in that situation, then
So you're not going to answer?
yeah, pretty much. I'm dodging that one.
Okay. For
And
myself,
but well, and there's so much just misinformation and everything going around
yeah.
in that whole situation where you hear one thing and it's really convincing and yeah, I believe that, but then you hear a different thing and
Mhm.
that's really convincing too. And so I like to weigh all the information. Of course, when you're in that moment and stuff, you don't have all the information. I
Yeah.
get that. And so if there's just someone barging in and you don't know who it is, and you feel like there's an imminent threat, could you do that?
Mhm.
I wouldn't knock someone who would say yes. Um, but man, if you're a police officer, I mean, you should, maybe they didn't handle that the best. I don't
Yeah.
know, but
So for me, I'm just coming up with this right now. Okay, so what I've done before, if I've heard a noise in the night that isn't a regular house noise, you get those creaks and stuff, I have armed up and gone to take a look. I remember one time, this can be windy in North Dakota. Our front door wasn't closed right, and so the screen was up, so that it was just the mesh and not the glass part. And our main door wasn't closed right, so it was 3 o'clock in the morning, windy night. I think it was lightning and thunder, and I hear the front door against the wall, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. First off, you wake up all of a sudden like that, you're groggy, like you're not at full alertness. But what I did is I went to check it and I saw, okay, it was the wind that opened the door. And I think I ended up checking every room in our house to make sure it was the wind that opened every door. Nobody was in it. But now thinking about this, asking you that question, and as you were talking, thinking about this situation, I almost feel like it would be better so we have the bedroom, better to barricade you in the bedroom and make the announcement very loud. The cops are being called. I have a gun. If you don't leave, you will be shot. That almost would be the safest thing to do, because hopefully, like, cops in that situation would identify themselves at that time, to prevent a shootout, especially with like these no knock warrants and stuff nowadays. Like, I'm thinking about that now. That might be the safest thing to do. And then if it's not cops and they still, for us, we have this narrow hallway that leads to our bedroom and there's only one way to it. So it's easy for us. It's like, it's a shooting fish in a barrel type of thing. It'd be very hard for them to get to our room because they'd have to go through this narrow hallway. So if it was a robber or someone trying to do evil intent towards us, we'd have a pretty good chance of defending ourselves in our bedroom. Um, yeah. So, but thinking about that nowadays, that might be what needs to be done. So if for some reason, because this situation with Brianna sounds like, well, what the news reporting, again, I don't know if this is true or not, they actually searched the wrong house, the wrong place. Like the warrants, they
the
went to
wrong
the,
address and stuff.
yes.
Yeah.
And so that, for me, I'm a pastor. Everybody in the community knows I'm a pastor. And I live in a small community, so cops would know that this is my house type of thing. But if I moved to
Yeah.
someplace new, or like when we first came here and they got this warrant and they go to the wrong address, that's not going to happen right here with me now. But like if I move someplace else, there's a possibility for that happening. I think for your safety and safety of cops, it might be better just to stick to your bedroom and then make that announcement like, hey, this is what's going on. If you want to risk it, if you don't identify yourself, you'll be shot type of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just a quick thought. This is not something I thought about before this video. This is something I'm thinking about right now.
Mhm.
So,
Well, and we're pretty blessed to live in Montana, North Dakota.
mhm,
It's a lot of our small towns and stuff. People don't lock their doors.
yeah,
Um, Almost ever, really. People don't lock their car doors, stuff like that. In
yeah,
just rural Montana and North Dakota. And whereas other places, I mean, you'd be insane not to lock your doors and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And going to bed, a lot of times people are worried about safety and all that. So it just proves Montana, North Dakota, great places to live.
Yeah.
Something could happen. Something could happen here, but
Mhm.
I don't. When I go to bed at night, I really don't fear for my safety
Yeah.
whatsoever, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm the same way too. Although, never mind, I'm not gonna bring up that part because although there are drug dealers in town in our small community, because we're right by the border, and so they come here to get it across. Not so much now because of COVID, but they come here a lot to get it across the border, and so this is kind of a traffic way. And I've been told that we have some that live within a couple blocks of us and stuff. So, but that's as far as I'm going to go into that. I'm actually, yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
make that connection with them though and tell them about Jesus.
Mhm.
Trying to.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So if you're watching this and you're my neighbor and you deal drugs, you need Jesus, just so you know.
Yeah.
So, anyways, and if you want to talk about Jesus, come on over. Give a knock on the house. We'll get something to eat or something like that. Um, but yeah, so that was my last scenario there. Do you have any that you want to pop up and you want to
Closing
share or?
closing thoughts. We'll just go. Let's say there's a draft or something, and you're drafted tomorrow to go to war.
That's what's yeah.
Hey, are you going to go shoot people and kill people in a war? Can
See,
Christians do that even?
see, that was the thing. Like, okay, going back to World War II, is it appropriate to kill other people for a government run by man? So, like, what I'm trying to say there is, like, in World War II, you had Americans and you had Germans fighting each other. Those Germans, Germany was a pretty strong Christian nation. So that meant you have Christians killing Christians because their governments were at war with each other. And that's something to think about. Like, we who belong to a different kingdom, who Jesus is king. Do you like the shirt? We have to think about that. Is it right? Again, I think in that situation with the concentration camp stuff that we learn about later, yeah. But again, go back to Revolutionary War then. Christians on both sides there, the British and the colonists there. What is that appropriate?
No, the answer is no.
So you wouldn't, what would you do then? Would you be a draft dodger? Would you be a hippie?
Oh,
You already have the beard.
did they have a draft in the American Revolution though?
No, but like, okay, Vietnam then. Let's go Vietnam.
Vietnam?
Yes. Was it a good enough reason to go over?
I see. I don't know Vietnam well enough. I mean, if there's an unjust war, let's just say there's an unjust war.
Like what? Do you know one in history?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe how about what was it? How about the war that we had with Mexico, where we basically got all of Texas and a big chunk of America? And that America, if you study the history on that America probably misbehaved there quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
But could you, if there was a draft there, or if you're even just Christian, there's no draft, could you fight in an unjust war?
What would be your answer?
Well, I'm asking you though.
You go. I would say no. You go now.
No. If you have a choice, no, you shouldn't go into it.
Yeah.
What if you're drafted to go into it though?
I would. Man, that's a tough question. I think I would try my best to find again, if I've not been in the military, my dad, my uncle, my grandpa were, and that what they'll tell you is that no matter what job you have in the military, you have to be ready to shoot people. But I would try to find something like maybe like a medic or in an unjust war. Okay. Like a medic or
a chaplain. You could be a chaplain
something like that in an unjust war. Now, in a just war, where we have a bunch of Jewish people dying, I would be more open to being like infantry or something like that. What about you?
And so what do you think about like conscience?
Well, you ask that next. You have to answer this question. Don't try to skip it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you answer it then.
And I would say more like I don't want to do evil kind of
Okay.
thing. And so that might be more the standard. But actually, your thoughts on, hey, can I be a chaplain, or hey, can I do something else in the war effort? And yet, even if you are doing that, are you supporting evil kind of? Let's say America just says, we're going to attack some other nation and we're just going to take it over.
Yeah.
Even supporting it in a lesser way that doesn't involve deadly force, is that even a good thing?
I don't know. Like I would think, I think when it comes to medic and chaplain, you're trying to save lives, and that's not a bad thing. Whether that's the spiritual or
Okay.
physical life. Even if you don't agree with what the military is doing, like if you look at it more on the individual basis. What about
So
you?
even like,
No,
but
no, no. You did not answer the
no,
last one.
we
You did not answer
gotta
the
follow
last
up on
one.
that though. I'll go to it, but we got to follow up on that. Like, so in Nazi Germany,
Okay.
you could be a chaplain or a medic then, and that would be a good thing. Does that make sense though, right? Even in a war that's just really unjust, really, really bad, you could be a chaplain or a medic in the war that way and still honor God in that. Yes, no?
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Because you're still supporting it on some
Yeah.
level. Some people could argue, but
Yeah.
you're not using deadly force. You're not committing evil by trying to save someone's life, and maybe lead them to Christ,
Mhm.
even through it all, and give them counsel on on just the
Yeah.
nightmares of war and everything.
So then what? Okay, bringing that question back, you're drafted into a unjust war. What do you do?
Pray about it. There we go.
I feel like we're filming his video next.
See,
That's gonna be my answer for every single one of his questions because he dodges them so much. He is a question dodger. That was the question I was gonna ask. Would you consider
actually,
being a draft dodger? Would you consider that?
if it was an unjust war, then yes.
Yeah, I think I would take it under
Right?
consideration.
Or,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
actually, I think your answer was even better though, because there's things that you can do,
yeah,
being a chaplain. But even being a chaplain nowadays, that gets pretty. There's complications with that nowadays, even too.
yeah. Like your job is to minister to every infantryman, and if you're the only chaplain there and there's a Muslim man there, then you have to minister to him
And it
through
goes
the
to,
Muslim teachings.
it goes into, hey, is Jesus a way, or is Jesus Christ
Yeah,
the only way? And you get into really hot water if you say, hey, Jesus Christ is the only way. And
yeah,
that's the gospel, and that's what we're commanded to preach as Christians.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a good question. Yeah.
That's a
Anything
good way to
else?
sidestep everything. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks.
But really you hit it though, is that you look at other things you can do, medic,
Mhm.
chaplain. Nowadays there's a million other things you can do other than, and really I'm such a bad shot and everything. I'm probably the last person they want me to fire at people. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, get that pistol. Get that little gun.
That handgun.
Practice a
Yeah.
little. Do you have a shooting
Yeah.
range around you?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, one of the things you're gonna find. Oh, my camera's about to run out, so we're gonna continue this conversation. If my camera pops off here on the recording, sorry, I'm gonna finish this thought, though, then we'll close out. But uh, one of the things you'll find right now is that ammo is in super shortage right now because of all the new gun owners that are around, and then you might have trouble finding guns too at a good price. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna end this right here because my camera's dying. Guys, thank you for watching. Again, part 1 will pop up somewhere up here. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, my channel here, and then Mark, go over to his channel, Montana Viking. Subscribe to him. We're doing a collab on his channel as well, talking about censorship and Christianity. So be sure to check that out. But guys, thanks for watching and have a blessed day.